Okay, once again, welcome. Welcome to this great day for the Tribe Athletics Department. And with this, I'm going to introduce our short-term interim athletic director, Mr. Jeremy Martin.
Well, I can tell you there has never been anyone more excited to be introduced as a short-timer, and this is a really exciting day for William & Mary Athletics and for the entire university. I just want to thank you for being here for this moment. On behalf of Matthew Lambert and myself, I want to thank all the members of the search committee and everyone who participated in the interview process. We took our task seriously, knowing we had to get it right. We cast a wide net that ultimately extended from coast to coast, and we executed a thorough and rigorous process to find the right leader for William & Mary Athletics. These last 9 months, and by the way, it is now 9 for anyone who's counting, they've been incredibly meaningful for me. Athletics has never been more important to the life of this university, and we've seen that in that time frame, but especially to the people who make this such an incredible community and an incomparable community to live and learn and work. It's meant the world to me to be of service to the department. This is where I got my start at William & Mary, and particularly to the friends and mentors that it's given me. I will certainly miss the daily interaction with those folks, but I'm delighted at the thought of returning with my family to the Tribe in the stands to cheer on our student athletes and coaches, and occasionally critique the officiating at a volume that would be unseemly for an AD. As I mentioned, Brian emerged as the ideal person to lead William & Mary through a rigorous process. It was one that we took very seriously, and again, ultimately that net extended from coast to coast. His background is impressive. Ivy League student athlete, stellar administrator and fundraiser at Dartmouth, Rice, and most recently Cal Berkeley. But what stood out most to all of us involved was his commitment to the student athlete experience here at William & Mary and his ability to build relationships. A number of prominent folks gave Brian glittering references, and we appreciated them all, but some of the best and the most influential to us came off book as we dug deeper. One of these came from an offensive lineman teammate at Dartmouth, whom I asked how Brian treated the equipment manager when he was the star quarterback on the team. That led to hearing how Brian has never forgotten where he came from, how he values everyone, and ultimately to a story of when the administrative assistant for the football program baked a cake for Brian's birthday because she appreciated him and who he was in the program, and that Brian was smart enough to share that cake with his O-line. Brian, we look forward to welcoming you, Hillary, and Russell to William & Mary and all that Williamsburg has to offer. And if anyone brings you a cake, feel free to share some with the Chief of Staff. It's now my pleasure to ask William & Mary's 28th President, Catherine Rowe, to formally introduce our Director of Athletics. Madam President.
Welcome to all the members of the William & Mary community and to all the special guests here today. Thank you for joining us as we introduce our new next athletic director. Before we invite Brian Mann to take the microphone and share his thoughts about joining us in this new role, please allow me to thank again those who helped us to get here today. We owe sincere gratitude to the members of the search committee, a committee of alumni, board members, faculty, staff, students, current and former student athletes, and coaches. They were led effectively and so gracefully by co-chairs Matthew Lambert, VP for Advancement at William & Mary, and Interim Director Jeremy Martin. And they were aided by so many other members of this community in the search process. They were well supported by our search consultant, led by Craig Littlepage. This was a highly competitive national search process. We had tremendous candidates, and you all knocked it out of the park. Wait, sorry, wrong metaphor. Course correction. Here's a better metaphor in honor of our new athletic director's intercollegiate and professional football experience. I should say you threw a spectacular pass to the end zone for a game-winning goal. I also want to express, on behalf of the whole university community, special appreciation for Jeremy Martin for his service this whole year as our interim athletic director. Thank you again. It's hard for Jeremy to hear thanks because this is how he serves. This is part of him, and you have seen it. A great pleasure for me this year has been that so many in our community have had a chance to understand who he is as a person and as a leader. But this will be easier for you. I also want to thank Tia, your wife, and 2 kids for giving up so much of your time and care and for their passion, too, for William & Mary Athletics. And I know they will keep your dedication strong. All of us in the leadership team are really thrilled to be welcoming back to you back to your role as Chief of Staff. So thank you. So let me introduce Brian Mann briefly and then hand things over to him. His professional and personal and athletic accomplishments are stellar, as you've heard. What we learned about his philosophy of leadership during the search process resonated very strongly with the committee and with William & Mary's leadership team and with our values. Here is one of the many signals that he sent, including and indicating that he understands what makes William & Mary excellent as a community and as an institution of learning. This is from his cover letter applying for the position, so it was before he met any of us. It let us know just how much he would connect with all of us. It is William & Mary's focus on the harmony of academic rigor and commitment to academic excellence and athletic excellence, he wrote, that aligns both with my personal philosophies surrounding college athletics and my career goals as an administrator. We sought candidates who recognize that excellence and belonging are core values to William & Mary, and that we do not shy away from challenges. We looked for someone who would be all in for William & Mary Athletics specifically, and we found our new leader in Brian Mann. Brian understands the unique commitments of athletics at William & Mary and that they are integral to our success as a public Ivy. The importance of a holistic student-athlete experience of striving and succeeding in all dimensions of one's life, the importance of deep and strong relationships, the importance of winning with integrity and joy for the team's success and the success of the university as a whole. We look forward to working with Brian as he leads William & Mary Athletics with these values at front of mind. With the support, especially over this past year, from so many dedicated individuals whom Brian is soon getting to know, William & Mary is now in a stronger position to make progress on our most significant challenges. These are, as you know, ensuring equity, financial sustainability, competitive success, and community building for all of our sports programs. On this very happy occasion, we're welcoming Brian and his family, including his spouse Hillary and his first child Russell. They could not be with us today, but they are very much with us in spirit. So hi, Hillary. Hi, and welcome to the William & Mary family, to the tribe, to Williamsburg, and to Virginia. And here is a small gift for the newest member of the class of 2043. You can see that we are thrilled for you to get started. So come take over the podium.
I'm not sure if you can see this, but it has a collar on it. So clearly my son's going to be a very formal guy right off the bat. So I love it. Well, thank you for that, President Rowe. Those are incredibly kind words, and I appreciate what you shared. And good afternoon to everybody who's here, everybody who's tuning in, and to the entire tribe family all over the world. I also see some of our coaches and staff that have joined us here today. I'm grateful for your time. I know there's a lot to be done today, so thanks for taking a few minutes to connect with us today. As for President Rowe, anyone who is evaluating a director of athletics position understands that the most important relationship you can have is with the president. I went into this search process understanding that. And even as I went through and started to meet some incredible people who have represented you really well throughout this process, I knew that conversation was going to be among the most important that would happen. And I can say without hesitation, it was the most enjoyable conversation that I had. I appreciate your honesty, your authenticity, and it's very clear that you see great value in athletics, that you understand the department can help further the mission of the university, and I look forward to leading the department in that way. So thank you for this opportunity you've given to me. I don't take it lightly, and I'm ready to give you absolutely everything I have. I also want to say a few thank you to the search committee. President Rowe did a great job of doing that, but for me, so many of them were an integral part of this. Certainly, I want to give a nod to the co-chairs, Jeremy Martin, also to Matthew Lambert, who's here today. They were incredible representatives of the university and certainly set a great tone. I also want to make sure that people know that Debbie Ratliff was helping me every step along the way, certainly in ways I'm sure that went outside of her job description, but I'm incredibly grateful for all she did to help me get here. Collegiate Sports Associates, and in particular Craig Littlepage, thank you for all that you did throughout the process as well. Some personal thank yous, and I'll go through these quickly. There's probably about 1,000 people I could thank, and I won't even dare to try to do that here, but I will share a few. The first is John Lyons, who was the football coach at Dartmouth and brought me there. And he was the first one that helped a blue-collar kid from Boston feel like he could belong at an Ivy League university. You won't hear me say much more about Coach Lyons because for the last several years he's been on an opposing sideline from William & Mary, and so I'll thank him here, and that'll be the last time I'll talk about it publicly. When I returned to Dartmouth, I made a career change. I was living and working in Washington, D.C. in the professional space, and though I had a great opportunity, I made a career change when I was about to turn 30 years old and went back to Dartmouth. And there are all kinds of people connected to Dartmouth football, the friends of football and beyond. But in particular, Brian Austin is the one who stood up for me and said we should take a chance on this guy again. And Brian's no longer with us, but I'm sure he's smiling, looking down. I'm grateful for what he did. At Rice University, again, another litany of people, but two in particular, Joe Carlgard, the director of athletics, who continued to provide me with increasing opportunities to grow and develop, and who taught me that innovation and entrepreneurship has a great place in college athletics. And just because we've been doing this a long time doesn't mean we continue to do it the way that we always have. And Tina Langley, the head women's basketball coach who's moved on to Washington, who in my opinion represents everything that's right and good about college athletics. To Cal, and this one's still a little raw for me, but there's so many folks there in the alumni and donor community, the Cal Athletics Fund team, Mark Fox in the men's basketball program, but in particular Jim Knowlton and his wife Corey. Jim has done more for me in a short time than I ever could have imagined. He might be the greatest leader in college athletics today. I feel very comfortable saying that. And in particular, he's taught me how to do things like build community, strengthen relationships, meet people where they are, bring people together and foster collaboration. And finally, to make it very personal to my family, to my mom and dad, who have been as supportive as I ever could have hoped, that they made sure that my guiding light was always a terrific education, my brothers and sisters, and the large family. I'm not sure how many season tickets will be bought by Mann family members moving forward, but we'll see a little uptick, I promise you that. And lastly, President Rowe mentioned my wife, Hillary, my son, Russell. He's 10 weeks old yesterday. We tried every which way to get him out here to meet you guys, and so I'm sorry they can't be here. But rest assured, they're as excited about this as I am. I can't wait for y'all to meet him. Hillary is the strongest person I know. Any success I have will be built on that relationship. Hill, I love you. I can't wait to get started. But all these people have brought us to today and brought me to this incredible opportunity as the Director of Athletics at William & Mary. And I shared this with the search committee, but in my opinion, William & Mary represents everything that I love about intercollegiate athletics. There's a transformational education that can change lives. I've seen how that can happen at Dartmouth. It's a very personal experience to me. It's a chance to provide an opportunity for student athletes to compete in championships and win titles. There's a terrific history here of success and a great foundation on which to build. There is a chance to collaborate across campus with President Rowe and her executive leadership team. I look forward to that opportunity to further that mission through our department. And we do it with student athletes at the center of everything that we do here. You're going to hear me say that phrase a lot, that everything we do starts and ends with student athletes and their experience. It will be our goal to create a world-class student athlete experience. That goes into developing the whole human being. And I do not believe you can have a world-class student-athlete experience if you're not competing for and winning championships. My plans moving forward, first is to listen. I have a lot to learn about this place. What I know so far, I love. And when it comes to working at William & Mary and being a part of the student-athlete experience, I'm all in. And when it comes to moving this university forward through our athletics mission, I'm all in. And I love what I know so far, but I know there's so much more about this place that makes it special that you can teach me. And so I will spend a significant amount of time interacting with each one of you, I'm going to get to know our head coaches and understand their programs as best I can. I'm going to talk to our staff, every one of them, from top to bottom and left to right, to learn why they're here, what they love about it, what we do incredibly well that separates us, and where we can move forward. I'm going to be out in the community. This is a strong place. I can feel the love for William and Mary and the Williamsburg community, and I've only been here a very short time. I'm going to meet with alumni and donors and fans and season ticket holders. I'm going to do everything I can to strengthen that relationship. There's a terrific foundation of support, and I will take it as my opportunity to strengthen that in every possible way. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go as a department. I have some ideas, I have some thoughts, but I'm going to build a plan together with everybody in this community. It'll be a collaborative process. I'm going to need your help. Please pick up the phone when I call. I look forward to seeing you in person, something I'm not sure I was able to say. Feels like it's been a long time since we've been able to say that. But know that you'll get everything that I have. I know I speak for Hillary and Russell when I say the same thing, that we're here. We're incredibly excited to be a part of this community. And I look forward to working with all of you to build the brightest future we can for William & Mary Athletics. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions with our media. And again, to cover, when you get the mic, please just identify yourself on your first question. Thank you.
Pete, could you grab my water for me?
Welcome, I'm John O'Connor from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Welcome to Virginia.
Thank you.
You spoke a little bit about the draw to William & Mary. I wonder if the situation in the past school year attracted you or perhaps made you hesitate about pursuing this job?
Well, I think initially it did both, right? To me, it's rare when you have the opportunity to impact an institution as old as this one. Typically, they're pretty set in their ways, and I saw an opportunity to help shape the future. The hesitation came before I got to know the people and the situation. Now, I have a lot more to learn. I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet. But as I met President Rowe and the search committee and talked to Jeremy Martin, I had a little bit of time to spend with the coaches. I was lucky enough to meet many of the coaches and staff earlier today. What I learned is that though there have been incredible challenges over the last year, and there are still challenges that lay before us, that there are some great people that care deeply about this place, about its future, and about its student athletes. And if that's where you're starting from, I always believe you can build a great future.
Marty Abraham at the Daily Press and Virginian Pilot. I wanted to ask you, what experience in your life, in your career, do you feel like best equips you to, rebuild the trust at William & Mary between the athletes and alumni that might have been, a little bit chipped away during this past year?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll point entirely to my experience at Cal. The director of athletics there, Jim Knowlton, builds community and brings people together as well as anybody that I know. And when he hired me, he looked at me and said, I'm going to need somebody who's going to sit in these meetings with me shoulder to shoulder and build trust back. The details are, for another time, but the department had lost the trust of a significant number of donors and supporters based on a couple of things that have happened. And so it's that experience that over the last 2.5 years, you lean into it. You talk to people openly, honestly, authentically. You ask for feedback and support. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. And I think the success that we've had at Cal and what they're building there, which is going to be special, will speak for itself. But I'll take a lot of my cues from that work that we did there, because it's always a great way to bring people together is to meet them where they are, to talk to them about their perspectives and their opinion, to ask what they believe about this place. And that's what I referenced early. Though I love what I know so far about William & Mary, I know there's a lot more that I need to learn. People feel differently about this place. There's a special bond and connection. I look forward to having those conversations, to doing whatever I can to rebuild that trust. But it's going to start with one-on-one conversations. It's going to start with me being open to the feedback and thoughts that they have. And it will finish with every single day showing up and consistently doing what I say that I will do.
Greetings, Brian. David Teal, also with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Referencing your Cal experience, your time there coincided with a period where Cal emerged from, I believe it was 6 consecutive years of 8-figure shortfalls on an annual budget, and to the point where now there's a surplus. Are there lessons at Cal that you can apply here to the fiscal challenges that President Rowe mentioned in her introduction?
Well, I think that's certainly a possibility. I think I need to dig into the budget a little bit deeper to learn exactly where those opportunities may lie. But that started with a great relationship with the chancellor and campus leadership, and having a conversation of what it costs to run that athletics department. And then once that budget was in place, making sure that we were held accountable. Jim Knowlton did a great job of that, as did his cabinet, and I was lucky enough to be a part of it. And we also went out and made it very clear to our community that we needed more support. And if you look at the numbers and the successes we've had from a development standpoint, we've been able to bring in a lot more. And the good news is that, that type of support, when you're out there trying to secure it, it goes directly back to the student athletes. And so it's a really compelling case to make. So I'm glad that I had a chance to go through that experience. I learned a great deal from it. And certainly if there's ways to apply it directly to the situation here, I'll absolutely do that.
Hey, Brian, Dave Johnson. You have been at prestigious academic institutions. You were a student athlete at an Ivy. How does that shape you, and how can that influence your job as AD?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. The impact that a place like William & Mary can have, that has the world-class education paired with Division I athletics, to me is transformational. It transformed my life. It opened doors for me, frankly, that I didn't even know existed. It connected me with people that I'd never had any interaction with before. It opened my eyes to a different world. My son will grow up with a different perspective than I did as a result of it. And so it's incredibly personal to me. And so I'll take that attitude to work every single day as I connect with our student athletes. I think it gives me the opportunity to speak to them in a way that I can lead with empathy. I've been in their shoes. I also know what it's like to arrive on a college campus and I'll politely say need help navigating through, because I wasn't maybe as tailored for that as some of my classmates and teammates were. That's why I'm so passionate about the student-athlete experience. And as I look at the landscape of college athletics and how it's changing and evolving and growing, places like William & Mary, to me, become even more critical to the success of the entire enterprise. Places like this have to thrive so that student athletes who want this type of opportunity, the harmony between education and athletics, the ability to be successful at both, to prepare them for a bigger life, to find the best versions of themselves, those opportunities become more and more critical as college athletics changes. And I feel proud to be at an institution that will embrace that.
Brian, Dave Chadwick, William & Mary Sports Blog. Welcome to Williamsburg.
Thank you, David.
Glad to meet you here. Among our readership, there's been some discussion lately about conference affiliation. I'm just curious how you see the pluses and minuses of our current conference affiliation, and would you even consider discussing affiliating with another conference?
Yeah, sure, it's a great question. I mean, I think that I said this morning to the coaches and staff. I'm coming into this with an open mind. I have a great belief in what we've built here, and a strong belief in the bright future. But I have an open mind about those things. I think the CAA is a terrific conference with a long, storied history. William & Mary is inextricably tied to that long and storied history. There appear to be some incredible rivalries, geographic, those with similar missions from a university standpoint. I look forward to those. But certainly it's going to be my job to do all that I can to build the brightest future for the department, and I'll be open to a myriad of ways that we might do that.
Brian, you referenced your previous career, both in New York and in Washington. If I read online correctly about those firms, that they were in the healthcare
Correct.
Industry. Mm-hmm. What experiences did you have there that might have nudged you toward administration? Was it a complete U-turn when you went back to Dartmouth just before you turned 30? And why did you do it?
I don't know that we have enough time for me to answer the last part of that question. So, when I graduated from Dartmouth, I had a chance to continue to play football. And I had a chance to chase that dream as far as I could. And one of One of my favorite quotes of all time is Thoreau, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." And I knew that if I didn't run that down as far as I could, that I'd have regret someday. And when that finished, I had no clue what I wanted to do, right? None whatsoever. And I had this idea that if I get into consulting, it would give me exposure to different companies and different industries, and I'd find my path. For one reason or another, I was drawn to healthcare. I liked the idea of trying to work on behalf of hospitals and health systems to help other people. I got some great opportunities, and I moved through it. I was mostly in sales, so when I went back to Dartmouth, part of what I was attracted to in that role was it was a director of football operations, which spoke exactly to the fabric of my being. But it was also going to spend about 50% of time doing volunteer management and fundraising. And as a 29-year-old, I thought sales and fundraising were very similar. It wasn't a great plan, right? I told you. But that's where I went back, and at that point, I remember sitting in my office long after everyone had gone home one night, just a few months in, and it dawned on me that I was going to do this for the next 35 years. And so ever since then, I feel lucky because for so long I was just chasing the next thing. And a calm came over me, and ever since then I've been able to make decisions based on a 35-year arc. I think if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be standing before you today. And it gives me the confidence to say that I'm right where I belong. And I look forward to being a part of this family for a long time.
I'm sure it's always difficult to change jobs, and this one's going all the way across the country with a newborn. And how much did that factor into it, and just that situation?
Well, on the personal side, my wife is a spectacular human being, and I look forward to you all meeting her. Matthew warned me if I talked about my wife too much, I might get choked up. So I'm gonna quickly move on because I can feel it coming. We were cautiously optimistic throughout this process. I think the phrase I used earlier is that I love everything I know so far. But the deeper I dug into this job and the more people that I met, the more I realized this was everything that I thought it could be and more. I also happen to love the idea of being a part of this community. It reminds me a lot of Hanover, New Hampshire. I think it's a lot bigger. I don't know if you'd find that surprising. But this type of an atmosphere where people care about one another, where community means something beyond going home at the end of the workday, I want to be a part of that. I want to raise my family in a place like that, so I feel incredibly lucky. And then we're within a car ride of a lot of our family. I have family in North Carolina and Maryland. Hillary has family in Pennsylvania. My mom, who just actually was with me in California over the weekend when I got the news, I hadn't seen her in 16 months, does not like to fly, so it's a long drive, but now my mom and dad can drive down from Boston to see us. So in that sense, the personal, the professional, that opportunity, whatever short-term pain is going to come from a cross-country move is going to be far outweighed by what comes after it.
We've talked about some serious subjects, so just to
Please,
lend
lighten it up.
lend some levity. How does one become Sandler's stunt double in the movies?
It's not something I want to tell Coach London because I don't know how to do this, but I can take a hit better than anybody. It's a great story. It's a longer one, but it was a right place, right time. The studio was using the Arena League facilities to try out actors to be in a movie. And they knocked on the locker room door and said, I'm doing this outside. We had somebody who was going to throw. He bailed last minute. Can anybody in here throw a football? And I could barely, right? But that's how I got the opportunity, and one thing led to another, and I got to spend 4 months with someone that we all should root for. He's a great person. He was very good to me, and he loves athletics. We played 2-on-2 basketball just about every single day at lunch, so I was very lucky.
Hey, Brian. Brendan Doyle with No Bid Nation. So at Cal, obviously overseeing the men's basketball program, what sort of insights did that kind of lend you into, another sport that maybe you didn't have as much experience with in school?
Yeah, well, I love basketball. I played it all the way through high school. I played, noon hoops up until I moved to Cal when I just got old and my back started falling apart. But I don't know, maybe if we pick noon hoops back up, Coach, maybe I can get back out there and do it. But I love basketball. I think it's a fantastic sport. I feel lucky to work with them. I've done it 2 places now, at Rice and at Cal. There's a lot of similarities between it, a lot of differences. The coach that I work with now, Mark Fox, who was at Georgia before Cal, I think he has 15 years of head coaching experience. So, I was able to learn an enormous amount from him about building a program, whether it was men's basketball or other. But also the great setup that we had at Cal is, resources are a challenge there, particularly compared to some of the Pac-12 schools that are our peers. And so the way that we set up our development shop is we work directly with every single program, and every single program has a goal each year. So we spend an awful lot of time with our coaches, right? You have to have a terrific relationship with a head coach. So in addition to working alongside Mark, Scott Pera at Rice, Mike Rhodes before that, who's now at VCU, who's a great guy, I learned all those different styles of running a basketball program, which has been terrific. I think a lot of those lessons apply across the board, and the interactions I've been able to have with all of our coaches at Cal and going back to Rice and Dartmouth as well have taught me a great deal. So I have some principles and some philosophies about doing that, but I also know that every single coach runs their program differently. And it'll be a big goal of mine to try to figure out what that means for them, how they run their program, and how I can be helpful.
We're going to entertain 1 or 2 more questions.
Actually, Pete told me there'd be 1 or 2 questions, so.
Hey, Brian, John O'Connor again
John,
from the
sure.
Richmond paper. 23 sports has been a major point of discussion here since September. What do you think about that at first blush?
Yeah, I mean, at first blush, I'm in college athletics to provide opportunities to young people. I'm not sure, maybe the military provides better experiential learning, but I believe wholeheartedly in what we do here as an enterprise and how young people can grow from it. And I'm in this business to provide those opportunities. I do know there are challenges ahead, and I have a lot to learn about what that might look like down the road. I refer back to Jeremy Martin quite a bit throughout this process as I learned through. I know he's done a great job of clearly articulating the challenges, and I will lean on him quite a bit. So for me, it's about figuring out what does that look like moving forward, and how do we set the department up for as much success as possible, always with the guiding light of our student-athlete experience.
So thank you so much. Nobody ever wants to follow somebody as good as that to the mic, but mercifully, I'll have the opportunity to just thank everybody once again for taking their time to come out with us and share in this great moment. And that'll end the live streaming portion of our event. And the guests here today are welcome to go and mingle. There's some refreshments for you. Stay around as long as you like. With our media, I'm going to make Brian available for some one-on-ones off in the side room there. But we will be respectful of the time he has today, because he does have a lot of people to meet and a lot of relationships to start building. So when we get in there, we'll be concise with our time. And again, I appreciate everybody, and thank you.